Okay, so our today's topic is we are going to discuss hemoglobinopathies today. There are two topics. First is management of sickle cell disease in pregnancy, GTG number 61, and the other is management of beta thalassemia in pregnancy, GTG number 66. Okay, I will try to make them as simple as possible for you. But during this session, if anything bothers you and you are not able to understand anything, you have any queries, you can always stop me and ask me, because there is no point in holding this session if you can't understand. Okay, so now we are starting the GTG number 61. So why, first of all, why it was important to study sickle cell disease? This is one of the hot favorite SBA. It is the most common inherited condition. Students, remember it. It is an SBA, most common inherited condition, most common inherited, not only most common hemoglobinopathy, but also most common inherited condition. Okay, and it is autosomal recessive. The average life expectancy of sickle cell disease is around 50 years. And there are many types of sickle cell disease. Most common I have written here, the sickle cell anemia, HBSS, HBSC, in which C is also added. It has a less complication rate than HBSB thalassemia and then HBAS sickle cell trait. This guideline mostly focus on sickle cell anemia and HBSC. So we will focus on these two guidelines, but you should know the names of the other types. So we will discuss the pathophysiology very short. Most of the time, it does not come in MRCG part 2. It is a question of part 1 examination. But on the other hand, if you know the pathophysiology, sometimes there are difficult SPA or EMQ, um, you can understand if you can answer the question. Even if you don't know the answer, you can answer, you can at least try to attempt the question if you know the pathophysiology. So what is the pathophysiology of sickle cell disease? There is a sickle cell gene in the place of a correct gene. And what does sickle cell gene cause? It causes abnormal hemoglobin, and abnormal hemoglobin is unstable. It leads to polymerization. And what happens when a thing is unstable? The sickle cell, everybody knows the sickle cell red blood cells or sickle shaped cells are rigid and they are very fragile. They are prone to breakdown. So the abnormal hemoglobin containing the sickle cell gene leads to breakdown of the RBCs. And what does these RBCs do? They block in the small vessels, and all of the complication which we will study later on. This is the cause of the complication, the occlusion of the sickle cells in the small vessels. This is the main etiology, and it causes hemolytic anemia. That's why we have to give multiple blood transfusions. Am I clear? Or is there anything you want to ask up till now?
Nothing. Clear.
Okay, so now we are proceeding to complications. These are the complications of sickle cell disease which are not absolutely for pregnancy. They can occur outside of the pregnancy. Okay, so what are the complications if a woman presents with sickle cell disease? It must be, as you know, it is an inherited disease, so it will be from the very start of her life. Okay, so most of these complications, especially in HBSS, they are present. Stroke. Okay, the way to remember is start from the brain, from your head, in head, and then come towards stroke, head, stroke. And what comes after it? Eyes. In eyes, it causes retinal disease, and then comes lungs and heart, in which it causes hypertension. Then comes gallbladder along with liver, where it causes cholelithiasis. Then comes kidneys, where it causes renal disease. And then in legs, it causes leg ulcers, and in bones it causes avascular necrosis. It's a way to remember. Okay, remember head, start from head. Always try to remember things methodologically so that you don't forget it. Okay, start from head. Head, eyes, heart, lungs, then gallbladder, then kidneys and legs, and avascular necrosis in the leg bones. Okay, that's why I put the both of the two together, because most of the time the avascular necrosis is in the femoral head. Okay, is it easy way to remember?
Yes.
Okay, so I am going to, this should be an interactive session. I am going to ask, but I have taught you. If you have not understood anything, ask me at this time. Otherwise, I will ask you. Okay, so the next is maternal risks in pregnancy. Previously, we have studied the general risk of sickle cell disease. Now we are studying this specifically what a mother can have problems in pregnancy due to sickle cell disease. Okay, so first of all, infection, especially UTI, very, very, very important. Okay, infection. And what can infection cause? Infection can lead to abruption or bleeding. It's just a way to remember. Not necessarily APH can be due to hemolytic anemia or any other cause, but infection, APH. And if there is an APH, there will be a blood loss. Then what will it cause? It will cause anemia. There is already anemia. It is called worsening of anemia. And all of you know that APH infection and anemia are the risk factors of thromboembolism. And what causes thromboembolism? What is it cause? It causes pain. You know, in DVT, what happens in DVT? It is a painful swelling of the legs. So to remember, thromboembolism, painful crisis. Painful crisis will lead to increased hospitalization. Okay, and at the very end, like in every high risk pregnancy, this is the high risk pregnancy, there is an increased chance of cesarean section and maternal mortality. The last 2 points are in every high risk pregnancy, whether it is a medical disorder, induction of labor, though there is a very less chance of maternal mortality, but I'm talking about increased rate of cesarean section, APH, and whatever you say. In every high risk pregnancy, these two parameters come. Okay, do you remember it? Infection, APH, APH lead to anemia, anemia lead to thromboembolism, thromboembolism is very painful, it caused painful crisis which lead to increased hospitalization, and it leads to, and the other two factors which are present every high risk pregnancy is delivery by cesarean section and maternal mortality. So who will tell me what are the maternal complications in sickle cell disease? Unmute, anyone of you unmute your mic and let me know what have you understood.
Can I explain?
Yes, Shaista?
Yeah, there is increased risk of infection leading to UTI, APH,
Yes. Good.
there is worsening of anemia, and due to
Yes.
there is increased risk of and which can lead to painful crisis, hospitalization, increased
Yes.
risk of cesarean section, and in the last maternal mortality.
And maternal mortality.
Yes.
It can lead to thromboembolism as well.
Yes, thromboembolism. I think she has told, Shaista has told thromboembolism. Good, Minha, you're right. Hira, I can't send message. I don't know. They say only host and co-host sends message to everyone in waiting room. Okay, good. So Shaista has told, Minha has told, and where are all other? I am going to ask time to time. Okay. So we are now, there are fetal risks. Okay. So in fetal risk, first of all, there are two risks which lead to early delivery: spontaneous miscarriage and preterm birth. Two risks which lead to early delivery: miscarriage and preterm birth. And then there is fetal growth restriction, which you know, fetal growth restriction and perinatal mortality. It comes in almost every high risk pregnancy. If there is nothing else, there must be fetal growth restriction. Okay, so fetal growth restriction and maternal mortality, and there are two factors which lead to early delivery: miscarriage and preterm birth. And at the end, you know, sickle cell disease is an inherited condition, so the chance of a baby having a sickle cell disease. Am I clear? So who will revise it for me? Fetal, what are the fetal risks in sickle cell disease? Anyone? I'm waiting for answer.
Miscarriage,
Miscarriage, good.
preterm birth.
Preterm birth, very good.
Then there will be two perinatal mortality and IUGR.
IUGR, perinatal mortality, and the last one,
Baby having sickle cell disease.
Chances of having a baby having a sickle cell disorder.
yes, exactly, very good. So these are very, very important, because after this we are going to read thalassemia, and there is a difference between thalassemia and sickle cell disease complication. So what happens in thalassemia? In thalassemia, there is only uh, IUGR. Other risk factors are not present. Okay, so remember this. So that in MCQs, in SBAs, there are 3 or 4 hints. So you must know by heart what are the complications of which medical disorder. Okay. So now we are going to study preconception care. Okay. These are 5 points, and we are going to discuss the 5 points one by one. Okay. First of all, contraception till fit for pregnancy, pre-pregnancy advice to women, assessment of chronic disease, genetic screening, and what medicines to be used or what to not to be used in pregnancy. Okay. First of all, contraception till fit for pregnancy. In UK, most of the time, sickle cell disorders are dealt by hematologists having expertise or special interest in sickle cell disease. Okay, and they will not allow them to get pregnant till they are fit for pregnancy. There are investigations which we are going to study are up to date. Okay, so till that they need to use contraception, and at the end of the session we will also learn about what type of contraceptions are safe in pregnancy in sickle cell disease. Okay, the second is pre-pregnancy advice to women. What pre-pregnancy advice you will give to women? A general pre-pregnancy advice. We will counsel about all maternal complications. What about the maternal complications which we need to counsel women?
Infection,
Good.
anemia,
Anemia. Worsening of
uh,
anemia.
worsening of anemia,
Yeah.
antepartum hemorrhage,
Good.
hospitalization,
Good.
painful crisis.
Painful crisis. Okay, good. So what are the fetal complications which we need to discuss with the women before in pre-pregnancy advice?
About miscarriage, preterm
Yes.
birth,
Yes.
and perinatal mortality, IUGR,
And
and
Maybe
chance of
child
baby having
sickle cell.
this.
yes, fetal risk of having sickle cell disease. Okay. And the fourth is avoidance of dehydration, cold, hypoxia, overexertion, and stress. These are the trigger factors of sickle cell crisis, which is the most common complication of sickle cell disease. So you need to learn by heart. In SBA, it may not come like dehydration. The SBA may say that the patient is excessive vomiting or excessive diarrhea. It may lead to dehydration or extremes of temperature or stress or hypoxia. For example, patient is at a higher altitude, or she is asthmatic as well and she has developed hypoxia. So all you have to rule out in this scenario that any of the points they have given comes into any of the points they have given fit into these parameters. Dehydration, extremes of temperature, it could be cold or it could be very hot, hypoxia, overexertion, and stress. They come again and again in the guideline. You have to once memorize them, and then you will be free of all the tension. Okay, so this was all about pre-pregnancy advice. So what will you discuss in pre-pregnancy advice? Tell me 4 points.
Ma'am, in pre-pregnancy advice, we will counsel the patient about the maternal risk, about the fetal
Yes.
risk, and
Yes.
avoiding of the precipitating factors like dehydration, cold, hypoxia, overexertion, and stress.
Yes, yes, exactly right. Okay, so now we are coming to our second point, assessment of chronic disease. We are still in the pre-pregnancy. Every medical disorder is divided into pre-pregnancy, antenatal, intrapartum, postpartum. Every medical disorder. We have started now medical disorder module. So you will see every slide will be like this: pre-pregnancy, antenatal, intrapartum, postpartum. There could be a small introduction in the very start, but the most important things are these. Okay, so assessment of the chronic disease. We have discussed in the start there could be pulmonary hypertension. How would you assess pulmonary hypertension? By echocardiography. If not performed in the last year, read the scenario carefully. If it is in this scenario says that her echocardiography was done 6 months back or 8 months back, then you will not go for it again. Okay, if it says that it was 2 years back, 1 year back, 3 year back, then you will go for. Okay, and what we see in echocardiography, tricuspid regurgitant jet velocity is more than 2.5 is high risk. There's a very less chance that this type of minute detail they ask in exam, but still you need to remember it because sometimes difficult questions come. Okay, otherwise they only limit you because it is not your duty to perform the echocardiography. You should only know that in pulmonary hypertension you need to do echo. How will you assess pulmonary hypertension is not important according to that topic. Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So actually in MRCUG they don't want to fail you. It is a very straightforward exam. They only ask what they tell you. They will never ask a question which is not they have not written, especially in GTGs. If they have not written, they will not ask you. No worries about it. Okay. So, blood pressure, urine analysis, renal parameters, LFTs, liver function tests, these are all for the assessment of end organ damage. Okay, so you have to look for them. Red cell antibodies in, though we have to look for red cell antibodies in every condition, but specifically in the conditions in which we need to transfuse blood mostly, like in sickle cell, like in thalassemia. So in we transfuse blood and there is a chance of having red cell antibodies. So pulmonary hypertension, we have done pulmonary how will we assess pulmonary hypertension? Who will tell me?
Eco.
How will we assess iron overload?
Serum ferritin.
By T2 MRI scan and the serum ferritin level.
Yes, very good. Okay. So now we are going for genetic screening. It is the, I think, fourth point of the preconceptual counseling. So in genetic screening, why we are going for genetic screening? Because we are worried that the baby may get it. The whole purpose for genetic screening is, yes, Minha, good, ferritin and cardiac MRI T2. So the whole purpose of genetic screening is to check if the fetus is high risk or not high risk. So check hemoglobinopathy status of the partner and counsel according to risk. In UK, there are specifically genetic counselors who will counsel them. They will not ask very details. So how to counsel the patient, but still we will discuss the genetics in detail, and then the most important inherited conditions we will discuss, how to tell the patient, how to counsel the patient what is the risk of our baby having the disease. Okay, so other is partner. If the partner state is not known, maybe the patient has partner is not available and you cannot check her status, so what will you do? You will consider the fetus at high risk. If the partner status is not available or not known, or partner does not agree for checking his hemoglobinopathy status, then we will render the fetus as high risk. This is very important point. It sometimes come in SBA that the partner is not available, or the women does not know the partner, that was a one-time sex. So the fetus should be at high risk, considered at high risk. And this is the last point. Always try to remember medicines in like which medicine to start and which medicine need to stop. Okay, what need to be stopped? Folic acid 5 milligram preconceptually and throughout pregnancy. Why we are giving the folic acid throughout pregnancy in sickle cell disease?
Because
Anyone
there
has
is
any idea?
because there is hemolysis and
Yes,
formation. For this reason, we start folic acid for the synthesis of RBC.
yes, very good. First of all, in routine, we know majority of defects, and the other is because there is rapid erythropoiesis. And then penicillin prophylaxis, we need to give penicillin prophylaxis. Why we need to give penicillin prophylaxis?
Because
Infection.
cle- there-
Yes,
These patients are more prone to infection.
because remember we have all, yeah, yes, to prevent infection. Why to prevent? Why there are more risk of infection? Because in sickle cell anemia causes hyposplenism. Okay, in
hypospleen.
thalassemia, remember, in thalassemia, most of the patients in thalassemia major has splenectomy. If there is splenectomy, or if the patient is hyposplenic, as in sickle cell disease, you need to give penicillin prophylaxis. In all patients of sickle cell disease, you will give penicillin prophylaxis because there is always hyposplenism. But in
What is the
thalassemia, if they say that patient prophylaxis. Anyone was asking any question? Okay. So, what vaccination needs to be given? Remember these vaccines, because in case of splenectomy, pneumococcal vaccine, influenza vaccine, meningococcal vaccine. These are three vaccines which given because of hyposplenism or if there is splenectomy. Pneumococcal vaccine every 5 years, influenza vaccine yearly, meningococcal vaccine only once. Okay, why do you need to remember every 5 yearly, influenza yearly? Because if the scenario, then in the most of the time in SBAs there are multiple, in a single will give hepatitis. If pneumococcal need to be given in pneumococcal vaccine or not? If it is less than 5 years it has been given, then no need to give pneumococcal vaccine, and you have to search for an option in which pneumococcal vaccine yearly. If it has given 6 or 7 months back, you don't need to be give again. And meningococcal vaccine, if once given, not to be given again. Okay, and hepatitis B vaccines, check if it has been given previously. In these scenarios, if they have given hepatitis B vaccine have been given previously, they will definitely mention it. If they have not mentioned it, then it means that it has not it means that it has not been given. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Madam, what about this influenza B? I'm sorry, hemophilus.
Am I clear?
Yes, clear.
Yes, clear.
Yes, Haemophilus influenza vaccine. Bhaskar, Haemophilus influenza vaccine yearly.
He would give or not?
We give yearly. If it was given a year back or 2 years back, then we will give before attempting for pregnancy. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Influenza vaccine, if it is not given up till a year, then we will repeat it, Bhaskar. And if it has been given before 1 year, like 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 11 months, then we will not give it. Okay? And hepatitis B we need to give in every pregnancy if it is not given previously. Now, which medications need to be stopped? Hydroxycarbamide. Hydroxycarbamide mostly used for painful crises, and most of the women with sickle cell disease are usually on hydroxycarbamide. So they need to be stopped at least 3 months before conception. Make a small diary, and in the diary, write these important points like in which disorders you need to give folic acid C, and in which disorder you need to give folic acid only preconceptually and only 3 months. And in take a diary and also write which medicines need to be stopped in pregnancy. Some medicines like angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors need to be stopped at the conception. You don't need to stop beforehand. But some other medicines like hydroxycarbamide, like methotrexate, you need to stop 3 months back. Okay, so make a diary and write it. Now we are doing these lectures. Keep the diary with you so you can remember at the end. Right? So 3 months before conception, then it's okay. But if conception occurs and this was an unplanned pregnancy, she has not stopped the pregnancy, then we will not lead to termination of the pregnancy or abort the pregnancy. We will only go for level 3 anomaly scan, which is done by fetal maternal medicine unit. Okay? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Okay.
So, if a SBS says, or EMQ says that patient was on hydroxycarbamide and she has conceived, then what will be your answer? You will not go for the options of termination of pregnancy. You will go for level 3 anomaly scan, or it could be written anomaly scan at the fetomedicine, fetomaternal medicine unit. Okay?
Madam, can we add angiotensin receptor blockers along with
These
It
are
is
all
a voice
contraindicated
problem,
in
so
pregnancy.
can't listen properly.
All ACE inhibitors are contraindicated in pregnancy.
what about angiotensin receptor blockers? Yeah.
Just a minute, I will fix my internet.
Blockers are also contraindicated, like the ACE inhibitors. But what you said, Dr. Aksa, Dr. Takwa?
So, have you understood hydroxycarbamide and angiotensin enzyme inhibitors, or is there anything?
Yes, that should be stopped 3 months before conception.
Yes, and angiotensin converting inhibitors. When should we stop them?
At time of conception.
Yes, just before conception. We do not need to stop them 3 months before conception. Okay. So these were the points for preconceptual counseling. So who will tell me what vaccinations are needed in sickle cell disease?
The vaccinations recommended for sickle cell anemia is a pneumococcal. It's
Yes,
every 5 years, influenza yearly, and meningococcal once, and
very
hepatitis
good.
B vaccination if not given.
Okay. And what antibiotic we needed throughout the
Uh,
pregnancy?
uh, Penicillin prophylaxis, and if
Yes,
allergic, then erythrocin.
very good, very good. Very good. Okay. So if a woman comes and with sickle cell disease and partner status is not known, then how will we categorize her fetus?
Should be categorized high risk.
High
This is
risk.
high
Very
risk.
good. Yes, very good, very good. Okay. So right. So now we have come to antenatal care. Okay. So antenatal care, first of all, what we will give general advice to the women. What is the general advice? Women should be screened for end organ damage, as we have studied earlier. And for what investigation we do for end organ damage: echocardiography, serum ferritin, liver function test, renal parameters, urine analysis, right? And then avoid precipitating factors for sickle cell crisis. What were the precipitating factors for sickle cell crisis?
Ma'am, it is
Diarrhea,
overproducing,
dehydration,
hypoxia,
hypoxia.
Good.
dehydration, and overexertion.
Yes. Yes, very good.
Overexertion. Yeah.
Extremes of temperature, dehydration, overexertion, stress, hypoxia. Right. Okay. So where was the slide? Okay. So, and the again the same thing. If the partner has not been testing up till now, then we will ask partner testing. If he has not been tested preconceptually, then blood pressure, urine analysis at every visit is must. And we have read that what is the most common infection which happens in sickle cell disease?
UTI.
UTI. Very good. So we need to do midstream culture monthly. Okay. Urine analysis at every visit. Even we are calling the patient after 2 weeks, then we will go for urine analysis. But every month we will go for midstream urine. Now, multidisciplinary approach. Likewise, in every medical disorder, we will see multidisciplinary approach. Who will be included in multidisciplinary approach? Obstetrician, midwife with high risk pregnancy experience. In UK, midwives are very, 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 very important. All low risk pregnancies are wholly solely managed by midwives. Even in high risk pregnancy, a midwife with experience in that particular condition is present. So, in every medical disorder, you will say multidisciplinary team. There will be an obstetrician, consultant obstetrician, there will be a midwife with high risk experience, pregnancy experience, and a hematologist. Why hematologist? Because it's a blood disease. It is very simple. If it is a cardiac disease, then you will take cardiologist. If it is a disease related to blood, then the hematologist. If any infections, then infectious disease control. Okay. So multidisciplinary team is very, very important. In UK, not all. Zebunisa can't hear me. What about everyone else? Can others hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Zebunisa, ask Zebunisa to check her mic. So, sorry, check your speaker. Right. So this is the same team, both in sickle cell disease and in the thalassemia. Now we have to memorize ultrasounds, when to do these 4 times ultrasound, 4 points of ultrasound. They are the same as in thalassemia. So you have to remember it by heart. In UK, it's not like at every visit they do ultrasound. Okay. Most of the time they do other investigation. There are specific times when they do ultrasound, because in UK most of the time the radiologists do the ultrasound, not the obstetrician. Obstetrician only do ultrasound in labor room if there is an emergency. So every woman has an ultrasound to 7 to 9 weeks, and every woman in UK has ultrasound 11 to 14 weeks. No matter she is high risk or low risk. 7 to 9 weeks and 11 to 14 weeks, they are advised to have ultrasound. 20 weeks an anomaly scan, every woman is advised. The difference comes from point number 4. 4 weekly for 24 weeks. These are only in high risk pregnancies in which there is a risk of fetal growth restriction. So whenever you see there is a risk of fetal growth restriction in every medical disorder which says a complication, it has a complication of fetal growth restriction, then you will add in ultrasound 4 weekly from 24 weeks. Okay. So can you tell me when we are going to do ultrasound?
4 scans, 7 to 9 weeks, 11
Yes.
to 14,
Good.
and 20 weeks an only scan, and then
Yes.
if there are growth restriction risk factors,
Yes.
then 4 weekly from 24 weeks.
Good, very good. And anyone else tell me what members are present in multidisciplinary team of sickle cell disease?
Consultant obstetricians, midwife, high risk for experience for high risk pregnancy, and hematologist.
Yes, very good. Minha, yes, you are right. Okay. Now, blood transfusion. Again, it is a very important topic, and you should know in thalassemia, in what conditions you need to blood transfer, in sickle cell, in what conditions to transfuse blood. So first of all, how to transfuse blood? The blood should be extended type match in pregnancy, not only in sickle cell disease, but in all conditions in pregnancy. Blood has to be transfused, except in emergency conditions. If it is an elective transfusion of blood, it should be extended type matching. It should be matched with C, D, E, and Cal. It should be cytomegalovirus negative. Okay. These are two very important points, because in sickle cell disease you have to transfuse blood multiple times. So if we do not take care of antibodies or cytomegalovirus, then the patient may become immune. Okay. And what are the indications? So it is an easy way to remember indications of blood transfusion in sickle cell disease. There are two indications in which come previous. Okay. Previous arrow, I think I should show. Okay. So first, number 1 and number 2 are previous. If there is previous medical, obstetrical and fetal complication, or if there is previously patient is on blood transfusion regime. Some women are throughout their life on blood transfusion regime. Okay, 1 or 2 points are previous. Any complication, it could be medical, it could be obstetrical, it could be fetal, or she is on blood transfusion regime. Number 3 and 4 points are for acute anemia and acute chest syndrome. Acute anemia and acute chest syndrome, remember that sometimes in MCQs they only give patient as acute anemia, then you have to select the answer top up transfusion. And if it is acute chest syndrome, you need to select the option of exchange transfusion. Okay, acute, there are 2 acute and there are 2 previous. And the 5th one is twin pregnancy. You know, in twin pregnancy already they are anemic and they are a high risk of anemia, so we have to give the blood transfusion. Right? 2 previous, 2 acute, 1 twin. Am I clear?
Ma'am,
This is
I
very
have one
important.
question.
Yes.
Ma'am, in previous serious medical condition, what type of fetal complication where we need blood transfusion?
For example, if in the previous pregnancy there was an hydropic baby or fetal growth restriction, they will specify you. Okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you.
As I already told you, they will not confuse you. Most of the time, if they have written only fetal complication, they will give you in this scenario the fetal complication. There was a fetal complication in previous pregnancy. They will not confuse you. They only ask what is written in the GTG. If it is not written, they will not ask. Simple and rest assured. Okay? Only focus what is written in the GTG. Right? Okay. So, what were the previous indications for blood transfusion? Anyone?
Yes, madam. Previous any medical illness, any obstetrical indication, and fetal complications.
Okay. And acute indications?
Acute
There were
anemia.
2. Yes.
Previously on blood transfusion and acute
Yes.
anemia.
Acute anemia and acute chest syndrome. These 2 are acute indications.
And twin pregnancy. Very good. So, we have discussed already that folic acid you need to give throughout pregnancy. Aspirin 75 milligram once daily from 12 weeks. Okay, we need to give throughout pregnancy to prevent from preeclampsia. And if the patient admitted in hospital, then we need to give low molecular weight heparin. So the medicine need to give folic acid, aspirin we need to give throughout the pregnancy. Others are the vaccination we have discussed. Okay. Yes, Sonia. Right, acute anemia, acute chest syndrome, very good. Okay, so the next is, now we are discussing the major complications one by one. The first and the most frequent complication is the acute painful crisis. It is the most frequent complication of SCD and most frequent cause of hospital admission. Remember, most frequent. There are 2 things of most frequent in painful crisis. Most frequent complication and most frequent cause of hospital admission, right? So when we will refer, this is the only complication which has been given in very detail in GTG. So we need to study in detail because it is the most frequent. Okay, the other 4 or 5 complications we will only do the highlighted points. So then we will need to refer the patient if the patient's pain is not treated by simple analgesia, if the patient is febrile, if she has atypical pain. Why atypical pain? Because she may have abruption, she may have acute chest syndrome, she may have pulmonary embolism. These are all atypical pain. Okay, if she has chest pain and she has shortness of breath, because chest pain and shortness of breath again lead to acute chest syndrome. So you have to memorize all these 5 points, which are the indicators for referral to hospital. First is analgesia, because we are studying painful crisis. So first of all, we will talk about pain. If the patient cannot tolerate pain with simple analgesia, we need to refer it. Patients have fever. In every scenario, if it is, even if it is not sickle cell disease, any other disease, and the patient is febrile, you need to refer to hospital. Okay, patient has atypical pain. Whenever there comes a word atypical pain, you need to refer to hospital. Chest pain, you need to refer to hospital. From the point of, especially from the point of pulmonary embolism, because it is a high risk in pregnancy. Okay, and shortness of breath, obviously for acute chest syndrome and for pulmonary embolism, right? So what in initial investigations you will go for in acute pain syndrome? Full blood count, reticulocyte count, and renal function. These 3 investigations you will do in all patients suspected of having painful crisis: full blood count, reticulocyte count, and renal function. The other tests are according to the situation. For example, blood culture, if you suspect an sepsis or infection; chest x-ray, if there is shortness of breath; urine culture, if she has a previous history of UTI, or in current urine analysis there are pus cells; and liver function test, if there is any disorder related to liver. These are specific investigations. You will check in this scenario if any condition susceptible is here, which we need to go for these investigations. Otherwise, if they say only there is acute pain syndrome and they don't extend the scenario from pain to any else symptom, then you will go for full blood count, reticulocyte count, and renal function. So what are the basic investigations for sickle cell crisis?
Complete blood count, renal functional test, and reticulocyte count.
Very good. So what is the management, major points of management in acute painful crisis? Initial analgesia within 30 minutes of arriving hospital, and effective analgesia within 60 minutes. Remember, if a patient have arrived in hospital and she is complaining of pain and you are suspecting painful crisis, then you have to administer analgesia within 30 minutes, and within 60 minutes it must be effective. Okay, NSAIDs for mild to moderate pains can be used between 12 and 28 weeks. Remember it, students, it is very important. From 12 to 28 weeks, you can give NSAIDs for mild to moderate pain. So we have to follow in painful crisis, we have to follow the WHO ladder. For mild pain, you will give paracetamol. For moderate pain, you will give weak opioids. What are the weak opioids? Codidramol, cocodamol, or dihydrocodeine. Okay, and for severe pain you will give strong opioids. Strong opioids are always morphine or morphine derivatives. It is an easy way to remember. So you know, for mild pain paracetamol, and strong pain morphine or morphine derivatives. All other are weak opioids, so you don't need to remember all other names. You can tell by exclusion criteria, right? So we have need to avoid pethidine. Why we need to avoid pethidine? Though it is a very good analgesic, but in sickle cell disease specifically, because of the risk of toxicity and seizures, it is written in GTG. So you must learn it by heart. You will not give pethidine, whatever the case is in sickle cell disease, toxicity and seizures.
For example, I'm coming from here and
Okay.
the door. And the door was locked. The shop.
So opioid analgesia is not teratogenic. And what are the side effects of opioid analgesia? There are 3 side effects you need to remember. It causes reduced fetal movements, it causes reduced beat-to-beat variability, and it causes opioid withdrawal in neonates. There are same complications: reduced fetal movements, reduced beat-to-beat variability, and opioid withdrawal in neonate. 1 in neonate and 2 in fetus. What are the side effects of giving opioid analgesia?
Constipation.
But yes, constipation. I am asking about in fetus.
In fetus, okay.
Yes.
Reduced fetal movement,
reduced peak-to-peak variability,
opioid withdrawal in neonate.
or opioid withdrawal
Yes.
in unit.
2 in fetal, 1 in unit. Okay. Yes, constipation is a cause, and we will discuss it here. Reduce. Yes, Minha, right. So we will discuss it here. So it causes constipation and pruritus, opioid analgesia. That's why we give prescribe analgesics, laxatives, and antipruritics in case of painful crisis. Laxatives and antipruritics to overcome the side effects of opioid analgesia. Okay. So first of all, we will do rapid clinical assessment, prescribe analgesia, laxatives, and antiemetics if required. For you to take, acha. I have told you to make small diary, small points for drugs, and also make a 2 or 3 pages for fluid intake. Okay, and write it in sickle cells. We have to give 60 ml per kg. Sometimes in some problems there are 80 ml per kg. So write it now. In sickle cell it is 60 ml per kg. To remember at the end, okay, or IV depending on the condition. You can give oral or IV. Therapeutic antibiotics if febrile or high clinical suspicion of infection. Not in every case we will give therapeutic antibiotics if the ESR is very high or the C-reactive protein is very high, or TLC very high if there is infection, because in sickle cell even white cell count can raise without infection. Thromboprophylaxis, as we have already read that we will give thromboprophylaxis whenever the patient is admitted with sickle cell. Okay. Oxygen saturation should be more than 95% in sickle cell crisis. Remember, write it down. Oxygen saturation more than 95%, because again, in some situations, in sickle cell, some situations will come where the oxygen saturation will be 94%. So you have to memorize it and make a difference between these two. In sickle cell, it is 95%. In sickle cell fluid intake, it's 60 ml per kg. Okay, and we will not routinely give therapeutic antibiotics. Be careful. RCOG does not like free use of antibiotics. Okay, so therapeutic antibiotics we only give if there is any risk of infection. Right. So how will you monitor? We have read the treatment, now the monitoring. How will you? This is the same table which is given in your guideline. We have to monitor pain, sedation, vital signs, respiratory rate, and oxygen saturation every 20 to 30 minutes until pain is controlled. Then monitor every 2 hours. First 20 to 30 minutes, then the patient says my pain is controlled, then you will go for 2 hours. Okay, and hourly if she is taking parenteral opiates, because there is a high risk of respiratory failure. If respiratory rate is less than 10 per minute, then what will you do? You will omit analgesia. And what is the antidote of opioid? What is the antidote of opioid? Anyone?
Naloxone.
Injection naloxone.
Yes,
Naloxone.
naloxone. Exactly. So if respiratory rate is less than 10 per minute, you will omit maintenance analgesia. You will, because you have given bolus analgesia, it's the time for maintenance analgesia. You will omit it and you will give naloxone. Okay, and you will reduce analgesia every 2 to 3 days if the patient is improving. Okay, am I clear? So how will you monitor the patient? Initially, how will you monitor the patient?
Every 20 to 30 minutes, we will see for pain, respiratory rate, oxygen
Yes.
saturation,
Okay.
respiratory rate. Yeah, respiratory rate.
Yes. First 20 to 30 minutes, and if when the patient is stable, every 2 hourly. Let's
2
see
hours.
chat box. And if patient is taking parenteral analgesia, then when? Then when? patient is taking parenteral analgesia, parenteral opiates, then how frequently we will monitor?
Hourly.
Hourly. Very good. When by antibody screening in sickle cell disease, Huda, antibody screening, you tell me why we are specifically concentrating on antibody screening. Huda, you tell me, what do you think? Or anybody else tell me. Why is it important to have antibody screening in sickle cell disease?
Due to blood transfusion,
Yes, because there are multiple blood transfusions, right, in sickle cell disease. So what happened in blood transfusion? There could be sensitization, there could be antibodies, atypical antibodies, right? Is it clear, Huda? Because of the blood transfusion. Yes, okay, most welcome. Yes, iPad. Who is iPad? Kindly convert it into your name so we can know who is more active in this group. Okay. So acute pain, now it is the end of the acute pain, in which when we will discharge the patient, when obviously the pain is controlled and patient is either has improved without analgesia, or we have to give an acceptable dose of analgesia, and when we will send the patient at home, we will not forget her. Okay, we will arrange home care if she cannot come, or outpatient follow-up appointment if possible. Okay. So in a painful crisis, we have read what investigation we need to do, what treatment need to be given, and how we monitor the. Anyone has any question about painful crisis?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Why we are doing reticulocyte counts? Like, if we know that hemolysis will be there, why we are doing reticulocyte counts?
Yeah, because a by a painful crisis, we have studied the pathophysiology by the painful crisis. What happens? We have remember.
Yes,
Because
vaso-occlusive.
There is a breakdown of RBCs. We have read there is breakdown of RBCs. And what happens when there is breakdown of RBCs? Which RBC index is raised? Reticulocyte count. Okay, so it is one of the diagnostic criteria for painful crisis. And what is the mechanism of painful crisis? Why painful crisis? Because these red cells, breakdown red cells, are occluded in the small vessels. It means that there is more reticulocyte, because more breakdown of the cells and more reticulocyte count. Am I clear?
If we want to know about the hemolysis, we can do LDH also. Why reticulocyte count?
Dear, I have told you, if they are saying for reticulocyte count, you should go for reticulocyte count. Why you are asking about LDH if they have not mentioned in their guideline?
Okay. Got it.
Right?
Yes.
Right? So I have told you that please try to memorize only the investigations which are written in the guidelines, because they are evidence based. Okay, you do not need to go in detail. Even I have told you, do not need to go in detail of pathophysiology. Only you need to do what is written in the GTG. They will not ask you what is the pathophysiology, why you are not going for this. If they have not asked in whole of the guideline, they are not asked about LDH. So definitely they are not going to ask you. And if it is written, then it will not be the right option. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good. So actually this is the main cause of in MRCUG, main difficulty in MRCUG, because in most of the other exams, I belong to Pakistan. In Pakistan, we usually go for FCPS. In FCPS, this does not happen. Sometimes the scenario is not clear and some things are not written. Already read in acute chest syndrome, we also go for exchange transfusion. Okay, and in acute stroke, we also go for urgent exchange transfusion. Thrombolysis is not indicated. In the whole of the acute stroke, the most important point is thrombolysis is not indicated. Remember it. Okay, otherwise they will not give a MCQ from acute stroke. And then comes the acute anemia. So, Sonia can't hear me. What about Everybody, all of you can hear me? Huda, Gulshan, all of you? Sonia can't hear me. Huda is hearing. Okay, Sonia, please check your speaker. So,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
most common, okay, the most common cause of anemia in sickle cell disease is erythrovirus infection, parvovirus infection. Okay, though there could be other causes like bleeding or malaria, but the most common cause is erythrovirus infection, and it causes reticulocytopenia. So we need to be careful about it. And why we are very concerned about erythrovirus infection? Because it is vertically transmitted. So we have to involve fetal medicine specialist, okay? Because it can lead to vertical transmission and then hydrops fetalis. So what is the treatment of acute anemia? Blood transfusion, isolation. Why isolation? Why? Because the women should not infect other women, okay? And the blood transfusion is the sole treatment of it, right? So next is pulmonary embolism. Pulmonary embolism can happen with acute hypoxia, and the only
Sorry.
treatment is yes.
Why isolation?
Who is here? By isolation, because it can be spread to other women. Okay, it is a contagious disease, infectious disease.
Okay, thank you.
We will study in detail in infections. That's why isolation from other women.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right.
I have one question.
Yes.
The erythro virus. What's
Yes.
its other name? What's its other name? It's parvovirus, like.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
Most welcome. Okay, so pulmonary embolism presents with acute hypoxia, and the only treatment is therapeutic low molecular weight heparin. Right. So now we have finally come to intrapartum care. Yes, Gulshan. Right, you are right. Intrapartum care. Yes, and now I have told you 2 or 3 pages for medicines, 2 or 3 pages for fluid intake, 2 or 3 pages for in your diary for timing of the birth. Okay, so mark it. In sickle cell disease, we need to deliver the patient by 38 weeks by induction of labor or by cesarean section. Okay, if there are atypical antibodies, then we need to cross match the blood, and if the women have no antibodies, then we will only group and save. The same is in thalassemia. Most of the points are similar. I am telling you so that I can ask at that time. Atypical antibodies, and cross and match blood at the time of delivery, or and if there is absence of antibodies, no need to cross match, only group and save. Discuss position for delivery with hip replacement. Birth should be in hospital who can manage high risk cases with MDT. Okay, in UK all births are not in hospital. Most of the births are in home or in the midwifery clinics. Only the high risk births are in the hospital, and this is the high risk of the high risk. So it should be in a hospital who can manage high risk cases with MDT. An aesthetic review in third trimester. In every medical disorder, there should be an aesthetic review. In every high risk pregnancy, there should be a medical disorder in, an aesthetic review in third trimester. Regional analgesia is a choice for an cesarean section. Okay. So what the important 4 points? What will you do in labor? You need to keep the patient warm. You need to give adequate fluids. There should be continuous CTG and pulse oximeter if less than 94% oxygen. And where was 96% oxygen?
Sickle cell.
Yeah, sickle cell crisis. This is sickle cell. Sickle cell crisis, 96% oxygen. And in labor is 94% oxygen. So in the labor, 4 points. Remember, these keep warm, adequate fluids, continuous CTG, pulse oximeter. So what are the 4 points during labor? Who is going to tell me? Yes, Uda, crisis. Very good. Yes.
Keep warm.
Keep warm, well hydrated,
Yes.
and continuous monitoring. And
Continuous
pulse oximeter and oxygen saturation must be more than 94%.
Very good, very good. Yes, very good. Who is Galaxy S8? Please change your name, Galaxy S8. Your answer is right, but Minha. You are Minha. Minha, Right. Okay. Change your name, Ina. Okay. So now is postpartum care again. In sickle cell, it is very important to have the adequate fluid balance. And again, oxygen saturation should be more than 95%. So in intrapartum, postpartum 95, antenatal 96. Remember, antenatal 96, intrapartum, postpartum 94%. Thromboprophylaxis is the same for sickle cell and thalassemia. For SVD, it should be 7 days postpartum, and for cesarean section, it should be 6 weeks post delivery or postpartum, right? SVD is 7 days, cesarean section 6 weeks. And the baby, if the father is a carrier or affected or unknown, right? For example, if the baby is high risk, then we need to take capillary samples for sickle cell disease. Okay? Is it clear? So now we are going for contraceptive advice. So there are first line and second line. For first line is all progesterone containing methods are first line. Either they are pills or they are injections or it is Mirena. All are first line. In the second line, all estrogen containing methods are second line. Remember it, girls and boys. Okay? So now is the revision time. Who is ready for revision? I can ask anyone. Okay? Are you ready, students?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Gulshan? Yes, very good. Okay, Gulshan is ready. What about others?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ready, ready.
Yes.
Okay.
Ready.
Most common inherited condition. Hurry up. Very
Sickle cell disease.
Sickle cell
Very,
disease.
very good. Sickle cell disease, right answer. Maternal complications of pregnancy. Hurry up.
Painful crisis.
First.
Hurry up, hurry up.
Acute
For any
chest
four.
pain.
Yes,
Urinary tract
yes,
infection. Urinary tract
yes,
infection.
yes, and
Worsening anemia.
anemia. Worsening of anemia is very good.
Because of
Okay.
APH.
Yes, very good.
The brush.
Remember the method I told you: infection, worsening
DVT.
anemia, thromboembolism, painful crisis.
Thromboembolism,
Yes, DVT. Yes,
hospitalization, delivery by cesarean section,
and maternal
maternal
mortality.
mortality.
Don't
maternal
forget
mortality.
maternal mortality. Okay. Third question: Pethidine can be given in painful crisis. True or false?
False.
Why false? Why?
Seizures. Risk of seizures.
Seizures, toxicity in seizures.
And
Very
Because
good.
it causes seizures.
Yes, very good. Right. Most common complication of SCD in pregnancy.
Painful crisis.
Acute painful crisis. Painful crisis.
Painful crisis.
Painful
Yes,
crisis.
very good. All of you are intelligent. Huh? No, UTI. Acute pain. It is
No,
most
no,
common
acute painful
infection,
conditions.
UTI. Right? Most common complication is painful crisis. Most common infection is UTI. Effective analgesia should be given in pain crisis in how many minutes?
30 minutes. 60 minutes. 60 minutes.
Within
60 minutes. 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
60 minutes.
Analgesia.
60 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yes, effective 60 minutes
30
initial
minutes.
analgesia.
60
Okay?
minutes.
Effective
Okay.
30 minutes.
Initial 30.
And effective
Yes.
is 60 minutes.
Yes, good. Very good. Next. Folic acid 1 milligram should be given throughout pregnancy. True or false?
False. It should be 5 milligrams. True.
It's false. It's false. False.
Why false? Why false?
5
5
milligrams.
milligram.
5 milligrams.
Yes, yes, very good. Very good. Treatment of acute stroke. Hurry up. Acute stroke treatment.
Fluid transfusion.
Treatment is
Transfusion by transfusion.
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 Timing and mode of birth. Timing and mode of birth.
38 weeks.
38 weeks.
38 weeks and
By cesarean or
by induction or by cesarean section.
Yes. Both methods can be done. Cesarean or induction. Very good. Very good. Okay, girls. There is one SPA, only one SPA. Write it down. It's very long and tell me the answer. I think it is not proper. Okay, omit this MC. Forget it. I will write. I will post it in group. Okay. So we have done with the sickle cell disease. Anyone has any questions about sickle cell disease? Any questions about sickle cell disease?
Thank you, Dr. Takwa. You made it simple, very simple.
Thank you, Mahira. Then we will move on for thalassemia. Okay, so there is a 5-minute break. It's 11:25, and we will again start at 11:30. 5-minute break. Then we will go for thalassemia. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Now let's start. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, would you please give me a clue? Actually, my brain is not working now. I want to know that which medicine you
yes,
are
Tanya.
talking about.
Tanya, we are going to study thalassemia. In thalassemia, when the medicines will come, I will explain you. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. So now we are going to study management of beta thalassemia in pregnancy. It is GTG number 66. Again, it is very, very, very important. Okay. So again, what is the pathophysiology of thalassemia? Defective globin chain synthesis. All of you know there are 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. We are only studying about beta thalassemia. So no need to wonder what happens in alpha thalassemia if RCG don't say you to wonder about. Okay, only study beta thalassemia. Defective globin chain synthesis, which leads to inadequate hemoglobin content, which leads to defective erythropoiesis and peripheral destruction of RBCs. Okay, this is the pathophysiology. They will not give you this in exam. Just to remember again, if an SBA comes and you can't understand, you should know the pathophysiology. Types of beta thalassemia: thalassemia major, thalassemia minor, and thalassemia intermedia. Okay. So what happens in thalassemia major? Thalassemia major is homozygous, okay, and there is severe iron deficiency anemia, which means they are blood transfusion dependent in whole of their life. All the problems which are in thalassemia are present in thalassemia major. There are bone problems, hypothyroidism, and they are very difficult. Usually they do not conceive, and if they conceive, then with the help of fertility treatment. Thalassemia minor usually heterozygous and it is a trait. Usually it is mild to moderate microcytic anemia. Okay. Major severe anemia and minor mild to moderate microcytic anemia. And thalassemia intermedia, what happens in thalassemia intermedia? Severity varies. Okay, it could be major blood transfusion dependent, or it could be minor, and it is usually diagnosed between the age of 2 to 6 years. Okay, remember it. Most of the time MCQs does not come from these type. Usually they give SPS for clinical scenarios like this. Maternal risk, very, very important again. So basically you need to remember 3 risks: cardiomyopathy, okay, liver cirrhosis. Likewise, we remember in sickle cells, there was first, what was the first risk we discussed? What was the first risk in sickle cell disease? Maternal risk outside, yes, stroke, and it starts from brain, okay? And in, वहाँ पे दिमाग से शुरू होता है, यहाँ दिल से शुरू होता है. In thalassemia, it starts from cardiomyopathy, from heart. It will start from heart, cardiomyopathy, and then comes liver cirrhosis or cholelithiasis, and then endocrinopathies. All other 3 are endocrinopathies: diabetes mellitus, hypothyroidism, hypoparathyroidism, right? 3 endocrinopathies and 2 others, and cardiomyopathy, liver, heart problem. Liver, remember, it is very important in thalassemia: heart problem, liver problem, endocrinopathies. Only 3 problems. Do every one of you knows Urdu? Any one of you who does not understand Urdu? Any one of you? Tell me in chat box or unmute your mic. Any one of you? Is there anyone who cannot understand Urdu? Bhaskar, you are not getting my voice. Everyone else getting my voice?
Yes, madam, clear.
Yes, okay.
It's
Dr.
clear.
Ira, kindly tell Bhaskar and Jagrati to check their speakers. Okay, right? So, everyone understands Urdu. Just to remember, I want to. Where has my screen gone? Ira, you have to make me host again. Okay. So, just to remember, दिल और जिगर एंड एंडोक्राइनोपैथीज. दिल जिगर सबको पता है ना, दिल जिगर एंडोक्राइनोपैथीज. ठीक है. हार्ट, लिवर, लिवर के साथ कोलिथियसिस है, हार्ट, लिवर along with gallbladder and endocrinopathies which are diabetes mellitus and thyroid. Always in endocrinopathies, diabetes and thyroid are very related. You will study, I think you must have studied if you are preparing for September 2020 in autoimmune diseases. When you rule out autoimmune disease, you always say diabetes and thyroid. They are very related, right? So whenever you talk about endocrinopathies, diabetes and hypothyroidism and cardiomyopathy and liver cirrhosis, right? So what are the maternal risks?
Cardiomyopathy, liver cirrhosis, polylithiasis, endocrinopathies, diabetes mellitus, hypothyroidism, hyperparathyroidism.
Yes, right, very good. Okay, so fetal risks are only IUGR and these are the risks again which are the written on the guideline. IUGR and thalassemia to the fetus. Okay, if it is written in the guideline, it means you have to focus on it. IUGR and thalassemia to the fetus, these are the main risks, right? Okay, and now preconception care. Again we have, yes, anybody want to
Screen
ask
is not
anything?
visible.
Now?
Screen is not visible.
Now still it is not visible.
No.
No, we cannot see anything.
Not visible.
Okay, just a minute, let me check. Now is it visible?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm sorry, there is some, must be some, I think today my internet is not working properly, that's why. Okay. So we have discussed we need to divide every medical disorder into preconception, antenatal, intrapartum, postpartum. Okay. So again we are here with preconception care. We have discussed heart, liver and endocrinopathies. And again in preconception there is first of all heart. We need to investigate heart, echocardiography, ECG, T2 cardiac scan. We have discussed T2 cardiac scan and echocardiography in sickle cell disease. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So here is the Ferry scan in liver. They have mentioned in thalassemia, so we will discuss in thalassemia. Ferry scan or liver T2, right? Liver iron should be less than 7 milligram per gram dry weight. Otherwise, we have to go for iron chelation. And for liver, what we will do, Ferry scan or liver T2 scan, liver and gallbladder ultrasound, right? Then comes the endocrinopathies. So diabetes, we will not go for HbA1c. Very, very important point. We will go for serum fructosamine, right? I have forgot to mention the unit of serum fructosamine. Anyone knows what is the unit? Less than 300, what?
It was
Millimole per liter.
Okay.
Nanomole per liter.
nanomole per liter.
So Dr. Nighat, is Dr. Nighat here?
Nanomole per liter.
Dr. Nighat, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Nighat. Hello. Tell me you are here in the chat box or here by unmuting yourself. Okay, I think she is not present at the moment. Okay, Sonia. Sonia, you will post it tomorrow on the group. What is the unit of serum fructosamine, right? Okay, Sonia? It's your homework.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So in this way, you will remember that in diabetes, you will not go for HbA1c, you will go for serum fructosamine. and it should be less than 300 for 3 months before conception. You will write in the, Sonia, you will write in the group the unit, and serum fructosamine tells the control for how many weeks, okay? Okay, so
Ma'am, can you please repeat your question? Sorry,
yeah, Sonia, you will post in the group what is the unit for serum fructosamine, and it tells the control for how many weeks.
Okay.
Like HbA1c tells us control for 12 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, and serum fructosamine tells us control
Okay.
for how many weeks. Okay, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so thyroid function test, and endocrinopathy, thyroid. Aska, don't tell here. This is the homework of Sonia. Okay, so no cheating. Thyroid function test for thyroid, bone density scan for bones, and blood, for blood again ABO, full blood. You can call it like when sickle cell disease, extending matching. Okay, hepatitis C antibody you will check in blood. Aggressive chelation, cause of fall. Why I have written cause of fall in front of aggressive chelation?
Cause of all complications.
Yes, बीमारी की जड़ है ये. Every problem because of iron overload, right? Heart problem, liver problem, endocrinopathies. In thalassemia, when you think of thalassemia, think of iron overload. That's why here more investigations are given. There is more focus on iron chelation. We have not read so much focus on in sickle cell. Okay, in sickle cell they have more focus because of the breakdown of the RBCs. More complications are because of breakdown of RBCs. But in thalassemia, more focus because of the iron overload. Okay. So remember it, thalassemia is directly related to iron overload. So aggressive chelation you need to do before conception, aggressive chelation. Heart, okay, now I will ask you. So what will we do for heart? How will we investigate heart?
Echocardiography, T2 scan and ECG.
Echo, ECG,
Yes,
and
yes.
T2 cardiac scan.
And how we will investigate liver?
Periscan.
and
Liver scan.
Periscan and T2 MRI.
Okay, okay. And how will we investigate bones?
Bone scan.
Bone scans,
bone
good.
density.
And what is the cause of all problems in thalassemia?
Iron
overload.
Overload.
So what
Iron
will we
overload.
do? So what will we do in preconception period?
Aggressive chelation.
Chelation.
Yes, aggressive
Aggressive
iron chelation. Very good. Okay. So now we are in the iron overload call. Yes, Gulshan, you are right. Aska, you are right. Yes, Huda, cardiac MRI less than 20 mm. You are very forward. Aggressive chelation, Gulshan, right. Okay, good. Right. Okay. So medicines. Again, medicines. Whom I have told to write medicines? Tania? Tania? Are
Yes,
you there?
doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Tanya. Look, can you see this slide?
Yes, doctor.
Yes. Okay. I have written which medicines need to be started and which medicine need to be stopped.
Yes.
Okay.
This
So
is
there.
Deferry
Yes.
Cirox and Deferry Prawn. 3 months
Yes.
before conception.
Yes, and you have to only write to stop medications both for sickle cell and for thalassemia. Right?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's good. Okay. So again, folic acid 5 milligram in thalassemia whole guideline.
And
There is not written that you need to give throughout the pregnancy. Folic acid 5 milligram throughout the pregnancy. Okay, we will discuss in antenatal care. Now we are discussing preconception. Preconception, you need to give 5 milligram folic acid. Vitamin D, because we have discussed there could be bone problems, right? We are doing bone scan in preconception period. So vitamin D if needed. Vaccinations. Okay, I am not going to show you this. You have to tell me what vaccinations need to be done.
Pneumococcal
Hepatitis B, if not vaccinated
pneumococcal
previously.
FB.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Pneumococcal
And
5
then
yearly,
5 years,
influenza yearly,
influenza yearly,
Yes.
and meningococcal only once,
meningococcal yearly, I
only
think.
once,
Only
only
Yes.
once,
once.
yes.
And hepatitis
Yes.
B
Meningococcal
vaccination
Hepatitis
is
if
not
it's,
given previously.
hepatitis B vaccine. And what antibiotic and in what condition? All of the
Penicillin
thalassemia.
prophylaxis.
Okay. And in all of the thalassemia patients, we will give these vaccinations or in some specific condition. Remember?
Splenectomy.
Splenectomy.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Splenectomy.
Aska, you are very right. Yes, splenectomy. If splenectomy is done, then we will go for these
the
vaccinations, right?
prophylactic vaccination.
Yes. Now I will again open that slide. Okay. Where was I? Right. Look. Can you see? Vaccinations hepatitis B you need to give if not given previously. If splenectomy, then you will go for pneumococcal,
Then you,
Haemophilus influenza, Haemophilus B influenza. I have forgotten to do meningococcal and penicillin for a prophylaxis. If allergic, then erythromycin. Okay, there are two medicines only which we need to stop. These are iron chelating agents, difirazirox and diferriprone. Okay, and they need to be stopped 3 months before. Okay. Yes,
what about
question? Yes.
what about
Yes.
the Haemophilus B schedule for vaccination?
It is not mentioned in the guidance, so no need to worry about. They have only written
Okay,
Haemophilus B vaccination should be given. Okay.
okay,
I think
okay,
it's some strain of influenza.
okay.
Okay. Right. So now we have come to antenatal care. Okay. Hey, again, what ultrasounds need to be done? At what time ultrasound need to be done in sickle cell? At the same hour for thalassemia?
7 to 9
To
weeks,
9 weeks to see viability.
Yes.
then
And
11 to 14
Then
weeks,
11
yes.
to 20 and at
20
the
weeks
20
anomaly.
weeks
Yes.
and then
then
after
20
24
weeks,
weeks
and
Yes.
after
from
And
24
20
hours.
weeks, 24 weeks.
18 to 20
yes.
weeks.
Very good. Very good. Yes, Sudha, you're right. Where are others? Everyone should answer it. In chat box, if you cannot unmute your mic. Oh, what is this? Okay. So, antenatal care, right? So, we have done the multidisciplinary team. We have already discussed ultrasound and the blood transfusion. So, in thalassemia, our aim should be to have a blood transfusion till to 10 grams per liter. Okay, and HB should be repeated every 2 to 3 weeks. And what are the indications for regular transfusion? Worsening anemia, fetal growth restriction, previously on blood transfusion. Like in thalassemia major, if the patient is previously on blood transfusion, you have to give. The other two are worsening of anemia and FGR. Okay, remember it, worsening of anemia and FGR. Remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
What are the indications for blood transfusion
Worsening of
in
Worsening anemia,
thalassemia?
anemia,
FGR,
Worsening of anemia,
and
FGR,
patient
and
previously on blood
worsening of
transfusion.
history
anemia
of blood
and
transfusion.
if
and
And
patient
what
is
were in the
previously
sickle cell
non-transfusion.
disease? And what were in the
it's a
sickle cell
previous
disease?
previous obstetrical medical fetal complication and
Complications.
previous
Yes,
on blood transfusion, acute
To
yes,
acute.
anemia, acute chest
yes,
syndrome, and twin
yes.
pregnancy.
Okay, very good. Okay,
Twins.
right, right. So now we will discuss thromboprophylaxis, which is very, very important. So what we have discussed in thromboprophylaxis in sickle cell anemia, do you remember?
Yes.
During
Yes,
admission.
During
If
yes.
admitted to
Thromboprophylaxis
hospital
7
and
7
7 days
During
days
antenatal
FPD
period when
and
patient is that was
CT
what
delivery.
was the antenatal thromboprophylaxis?
when patient
What was the
hospitalized.
antenatal?
When patient hospitalized.
Then hospital. And what was the postpartum?
7 days.
Postpartum
6 weeks.
is
7
SVD, then there is
FPD 7 days
7 days,
for
and if
FPD,
the
7
C-section
days,
6
and
weeks.
for
C-section at 6 weeks.
C-section
Yes.
For 6 weeks
Yes,
postpartum
6 weeks
period.
post delivery. Okay. But in thalassemia, we will see if the patient has undergone splenectomy, then we will give 75 milligram aspirin daily. And if the platelet count is more than 610 raised to power 9, then we'll give aspirin more than 75 milligrams per day. But if both are present, A plus B, then we will give both aspirin plus low molecular weight heparin. Okay, it is an important point from MCQ point of view, right? Yes, now I'm very happy in chat box. All are active. Very good. Gulshan, Nadia, Twinkle, Nadia, Gulshan. Okay. Right. So iron chelation therapy. Now we are going to discuss
Okay,
iron chelation
thromboprophylaxis.
therapy. Yes. Anybody want to ask
Thromboprophylaxis.
any question? Sorry.
Yes, thromboprophylaxis only for thalassemia,
Yes,
not
this is
for
only for
sickle.
thalassemia. No, in sickle
Okay,
cell
thank you.
only we will give if the patient is admitted
Patient is
antenatally.
hospitalized.
Okay. Okay. And iron chelation therapy, when we will go for iron chelation therapy, there are two indications. Myocardial iron load is less than T2 10 ms and liver iron load is more than 15 milligram per gram dry weight or MRI. Please remember this. If there is a myocardial iron overload or liver iron overload, then we will go for iron chelation therapy antenatally. And what substance is we can give antenatally is safe in pregnant women? This furosemide. Okay,
This
this is the
reason.
Ma'am,
only iron
liver
chelating
iron load
agent.
more than 15? Liver iron load
Yes,
more than
more than
15?
15.
Yes,
Yes,
but
sorry,
less than
it's
15.
yeah, sorry, I have missed the sign. Okay, more than 15, right?
And myocardial iron load is more than 10 or less than 10?
Less than 10.
Is less than
Okay.
Okay,
Just
I will.
opposite.
Yes,
Less
I
than
will
10 and
just
more than
correct it.
15.
And
I will
more
just
than
correct it.
15. Okay.
Okay, right. Okay, thank you for pointing me. Right. Okay. So how will you give it? Under hematology or cardiology guidance. Okay, both. We need a cardiologist and hematologist to give iron chelation antenatally. We will give low dose subcut dysfurosamine 20 milligrams per kg per day and minimum 4 to 5 days a week from 20 to 24 weeks. This is another work for your diary. Almost
Low
4 or
dose
5 pages for
substitute.
doses. Okay. Keep 4 or 5 pages for doses. Write down doses. When you study a guideline, write down the dose. You need to memorize it at the end. Get it?
Ma'am, I want to know one thing.
Yes.
We can start dysphenoxamine from 20 to 24 weeks.
Yes.
That
Only we
means
can
up
give
to
from
5 days
20 to
per week
24 weeks. This is the
till
safest
delivery.
time.
Till delivery.
No. No.
Okay. This is the onset of safest time.
This is the safest time to give cisfrosamine.
After 24 weeks?
No.
No, why no, ma'am? Then it's a
I
period
can't
from
say.
20 to 24 weeks. Only 4 weeks.
Sorry?
Not beyond 24 weeks. We can give.
No,
We
from
can
20 to
give beyond
24 weeks.
24 weeks. We can
Okay.
give beyond 24 weeks.
Can we give? Okay,
Yes.
I will check it and then
Yes,
tell.
we
I'm
can
not
give.
sure. Okay.
Ma'am, I
Okay.
think it is 20 to
It's
24 weeks
written.
onwards.
Okay, let me
Yeah,
check.
it's
This
Let me
written
is
it
check.
is safe after 20 weeks.
Let me check.
yes.
It is safe in second and third trimester.
Yes, ma'am. Second and third trimester we can
Okay,
continue.
okay, okay. I'm sorry. My apologies. Let me check. Okay, I will check it and then post it on the group. Okay. Yes. Okay. From 20 weeks, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay. Minimum for 4 to 5 days a week from 20 to 24 weeks. So remember its dose. Okay. Where has it gone? Okay. So, antenatal care, we have discussed thromboprophylaxis, iron chelation therapy, and blood transfusion and multidisciplinary ultrasound. There are 5 things we have discussed in thalassemia in antenatal care. Okay. Okay. Right. So, what are the indications for iron chelation therapy? Antenatally.
Cardiac,
Cardiac and
less than
liver
10,
overload, iron
Less
overload.
than 10 ms or liver is
10
more than
ms.
15 milligram per gram.
Yes.
Private.
Right. Very good. Okay. And when we will start giving, and what will we will give? What agent we will give for
Desferrioxamine.
desferoxamine? Okay. And
That's
from which
Desferoxamine.
gestation? From which
20 mg per
gestation?
kg.
20 to 24.
20 weeks. After 20
Yes.
weeks.
From 20 to 24 weeks. Okay.
From 20 to 24 weeks.
Yes. Okay.
After 20.
Right. Okay. Right. Sonia, Gulshan, Nadia, all of you are right. Okay. Good. So, and if a woman has undergone splenectomy and her platelet count is more than 600, then what type of thromboprophylaxis you will give?
Aspirin 75
Both.
75 milligrams.
Okay, right, good. So now we are discussing the intrapartum care. Yes, Gulshan, right. Okay. So in intrapartum care, again, MDT, you know, senior midwife is essential intrapartum care, obstetric anesthetist, hematologist staff. Delivery is according to the local protocol. Again, there is no indication or contraindication of cesarean section, only obstetrical indication. And in thalassemia, they have not mentioned any time for delivery. So we can take is according to routine, or it depends on the patient. If she has any other risk factor like FGR, which is most common in, which is very common in thalassemia. Okay. These are the general points. There will be MDT, delivery will be according to the protocol, and third stage of management, third stage of the labor will be active management, right?
Active management. Right.
Okay. Why we are emphasizing here for active management?
to reduce blood loss.
Yes,
to
very
reduce
good.
blood loss because
Very good. Okay. Just one more point. Tell me.
blood loss
So,
may precipitate
will we arrange blood? Will we cross match blood in
one
thalassemia?
thing.
Do we need cross match blood in thalassemia?
Yes.
Yes, in every patient.
No, with who have
Depends on the severity of our anemia.
RH antibodies.
Yes, very
ma'am.
good. Same like thalassemia, same like sickle cell, in which RH antibodies are present, and in which they are absent. What will we do?
Group and save.
Group and save.
Good, very good. Right? Presence of red cell antibodies, cross-match blood, absence of antibodies, group and save. Okay. So there are 2 things need to be done continuously in labor. One is, you know, continuous electronic fetal heart monitoring, which we have done in sickle cell disease, and the other is iron chelation. In transfusion dependent patients, we will give iron chelation during the labor. And what were the 4 points in sickle cell disease?
Keep warm patient, continue CTG monitoring.
Yes.
And
Well hydrated.
adequate hydration.
Yes.
And
And prevent
Oxygen
hypoxia,
saturation.
oxygen saturation.
Yes.
For the
More than
94.
Oxygen saturation if less than 94 oxygen.
Yes. And in thalassemia, we need to give continuous CTG and iron chelation, in which previously the patient is iron transfusion dependent. Okay. So now we have come to postpartum care. You have already told me about thromboprophylaxis. It is the same as in the sickle cell disease. And iron chelation, if the patient has taken iron chelation during the intrapartum period, she need to continue it in postpartum period. Okay, she can take oral, and you should know that oral dysprosamine can be transmitted into the breast milk but cannot be absorbed by the baby. Okay, so no worries, and encourage breastfeeding as usual. Okay, now is the revision time. Are you ready for the revision time?
Yes.
Madam, I want to ask you one thing. During
Yes,
interpartum
yes.
care with the supervision of midwife, this is a high risk pregnancy,
Sorry, I can't understand your question.
or ma'am, during
Yes, yes,
interpartum care with the
yes.
involvement of senior midwife only, not obstetrician,
Sound is not, voice is
multidisciplinary
not
team
proper.
approach.
Multidisciplinary in intrapartum care, yes, we need multidisciplinary approach. Yes,
Yes, with involvement of a senior midwife only.
senior
Why not
midwife.
obstetrician? I just
Yes,
ask you.
obstetrician. We need senior obstetrician and we need senior midwife, both of them. Okay.
Okay.
Usually the deliveries are done by midwife. Okay, so from delivery
In
point of
case
view,
of
the
sickle cell
midwife
also.
will do the delivery. That was in antenatal period. We have read that multidisciplinary approach in antenatal period. We need a senior obstetrician to monitor whole of the labor. Okay, if there is no problem, then senior obstetrician could present, but the delivery will be by the midwife.
Okay, and the
Okay.
same also for sickle cell.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. I want to know the same thing for sickle cell also during interpartum.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So it is revision time. Okay. So I am again starting my screen share. Let's see. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
No.
Can you see the
Slightly
screen?
blurred. No. No.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Yes.
No?
How much
All of you know?
Asham को पूछ क्या काम है मेरे को फोन करो.
Yes.
Yes.
How much desferrioxamine is given during the labor?
It was in the previous
2
slide. I
milligram
think.
per 24 hours. 2 milligram
Yes.
per 24
Yes.
hours.
Okay.
Yes, infusion form.
In infusion form.
2 gram, but over 24 hours. Right.
Oh, it's 20
Okay. Is screen visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. 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 So what are the maternal complications?
Cardiomyopathy.
Hurry up. Thalassemia maternal complications.
Endocrinopathy. Diabetes. Hypothyroidism. Hyperparathyroidism. Liver cirrhosis and endocrinopathy.
Polyolithisis, hypothyroidism, hyperparathyroidism, diabetes.
Okay. Right. Dil, jigar, and endocrinopathies. Okay. Right. Medicines needed to stop before conception.
Iron chelation therapy.
What type of iron chelation therapy?
Desferrioxamine and
Yes.
Desferrioxamine and desferriprin.
Okay. Vaccinations in women who have undergone splenectomy.
Pneumococcus, pneumococcus,
influenza,
yearly,
Haemophilus B,
and
penicillin prophylaxis.
Yearly.
Okay. Indications of blood transfusion.
FGR, blood transfusion, and acute.
Hemoglobin less than
GR,
100.
worsening of anemia, and
Worsening of
previous blood transfusion, FGR, and worsening
Yes.
of anemia.
Worsening of anemia. Worsening anemia. Okay. Birth prophylaxis to be given if women is splenectomized and platelet is more than 600 10 raised to power 9.
If it's both
Both aspirin
Aspirin and low
plus
molecular weight
molecular weight
heparin.
Yes, very good. Should iron chelation be given in labor? Yes or no?
Yes.
2 gram
Yes. 2 gram per hour
per 24
Yes.
hours.
labor.
Yes. Okay. This was the last slide. Okay. Anyone has any question?
No, ma'am. Thank
Who
you.
was asking?
Thank you
Some
so
of
much.
you was asking about intrapartum dose, 2 gram per 24 hours. Okay. Intrapartum dose of
Thank
iron
you.
chelation.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Any question? Anyone want to
Madam,
ask
I have
about
one
Thank
question.
thalassemia?
you.
Okay, so all of you kindly do your homework, post it in the groups, and if you have any queries, you can always ask me on Telegram. Okay, I will have.
Nice and clear lecture.
Thank you, Doctor. Very
Thank you
nice
very much. So
lecture.
kind of you. Thank you.
Okay. So tomorrow will be another lecture, and I will post
Thank you
the
so
link.
much.
Okay, thank you. I think Dr. Takwa has lost her connection, so we will continue with the homework in Telegram group.